Boris Johnson hasn't been able to hide his frustration about how events back home have distracted from his efforts here in India. But several senior Tories say that's an accident of his own making. His office was warned that there was a car crash about to happen in the House of Commons, but they failed to avert it. Today, though, the Prime Minister was ploughing on with his agenda here, hoping that he'll get credit for potentially finishing a free trade agreement with India a lot faster than many people thought possible. Boris Johnson, meeting India's Prime Minister this morning, is offering access to British military and energy technology, hoping that will wean India off its ties to Russia. Aides say Boris Johnson believes any attempt to lecture India risks sounding neo-colonial. Boris Johnson said he and Narendra Modi were now best of friends and that both were committed to delivering a free trade agreement at breakneck speed.
We're telling our negotiators, get it done by Diwali in October. Get it done by Diwali.
India's foreign minister said Boris Johnson did not put pressure on India to shift from its neutrality on Russian aggression in Ukraine. Boris Johnson acknowledged he hadn't lectured the Indian Prime Minister, but said Prime Minister Modi had claimed he'd challenged President Putin's tactics in phone calls to Moscow.
Talking to Narendra, to Prime Minister Modi today, it's clear that he has already intervened several times, and I'm sure this is no secret from our Indian friends. He's intervened several times with Vladimir Putin, really to ask him what on earth he thinks he's doing and where he thinks this is going.
The Prime Minister also used the press conference to acknowledge the war in Ukraine could go on to the end of next year and that Russia could win it. He outlined a whole series of security guarantees for Ukraine, though, that could be part of a solution to the crisis. And he announced a new British contribution to Ukraine's war effort, effectively, indirectly supplying tanks by backfilling an order of tanks that would go from Poland to Ukraine.
I think perhaps what I haven't said in public before is that we're also looking more at what we can do to backfill in countries such as Poland, who may want to send heavier weaponry to defend help defend the Ukrainians.
He'd kill for coverage like this back home and spoke wistfully about the billboards and crowds and dancers laid on across Gujarat when he touched down in India yesterday.
I want to say particularly to the people of Gujarat, I mean, they put on a most fantastic welcome for us yesterday. It was absolutely extraordinary. I've never seen such a joyful reception. I wouldn't get that necessarily anywhere in the world.
And he can't be sure of it on his own back benches. There may be only around a dozen Tory MPs who've said openly that Boris Johnson must go, but others lurk, and yesterday proved there are many more who are too worried to back a motion about Partygate, fearful that it might sully their names when his exploits are fully known about. Do you think he's going to come back to a Westminster? He's going to find the mood has worsened appreciably just in the period that he's been over here in India.
The strength of feeling about this issue is much wider than, a week or so ago when it was about a dozen of us who were, openly so concerned that the Prime Minister being fined in office wasn't a tolerable situation. So I think it does look worse for the Prime Minister this week than last.
The Privileges Committee investigation that will start after the police and Sue Gray have reported could take months. Boris Johnson returns to encounter a growing number of Tory MPs who worry there's no end in sight on Partygate now, with him still in office. Gary Gibbon, Channel 4 News, New Delhi.
Well, there are reports tonight of more lockdown fines for Downing Street staff. Anya Pop is there for us. Anya, tell us everything.
Well, the Prime Minister is in the air now. He took off to a fresh round of rumours of more fixed penalty notices being dished out. This time it's reportedly for a Bring Your Own Booze party on the 20th of May 2020 in the garden of Number 10, where around 100 people were said to have been invited, and reportedly 30 people showed up, including apparently the Prime Minister and his wife Carrie Johnson. Now you'll remember in May 2020 the country was still in lockdown, and mixing with more than one person outside your household was banned. Now Number 10 have said tonight that the Prime Minister hasn't received a new fixed penalty notices as of yet, and that they will reveal if he does. The Metropolitan Police yesterday, however, said that they wouldn't be revealing any new fines for any of the alleged parties until after the local elections in May. But as we've come to know, what happens at the party doesn't always stay at the party when it comes to this building behind me.